Hey, greetings, peace, Ujai to all of you. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. This is Kasabez Makma coming back again with another episode of The Black Present. I'm excited because moving forward, we're going to be having a lot more content that we're publishing with One People and the One People Project. Um, Please, if you haven't already, go to our page, One People Facebook page and like it, follow it so that you can get updates from us. We'll be having, new stuff pretty much almost every day. So I look forward to interacting with you guys a lot more on a regular basis. Um, so what we're gonna have moving forward is like a weekly theme of different content. This week we're going to be talking about, how we conceptualize wealth and poverty. And I'm just going to start by talking about how really I've been to Africa 3 times, and every time I go, I marvel at the sophistication of the culture, the unity of the people, the harmony which people work together, spending day after day after day together, um, working together towards a goal, towards the harmony and cohesion of the community, caring for each other, showing genuine concern for each other, the customs and the hospitality that's observed. Um, and after all that, usually I'll go and I've been there about 3 months, maybe 2 months at a time. And every time I come back, it's like difficult to adjust to the kind of individualistic mentality that we see nowadays. And I can't just say it's just everybody wants to be an individual, but it's like the lifestyle is like that because everyone has their own house. We live separately. We don't spend it. There's not really that much that forces us to spend time with each other. And on top of that, we all have our jobs, our school, our personal goals, and things that we have to do to chase that almighty dollar. And that's pretty much what consumes most of our time. So we spend a lot of our time isolated from each other. We don't really live that close to each other, relatively. Even if we stay in the same neighborhood, it's not that easy just to be around somebody every day. And so, we end up isolated like this. And so, that's just the way that the society functions, and it's set up like that for a reason, reasons which we're not getting into today, but it's definitely done like that on purpose. Um, yeah, it's difficult to adjust. And, it brings up the idea of because we always hear about how, Africa is third world, it's impoverished. And, I'm not talking about the cities. I know sometimes people like to post pictures of the cities and the skyscrapers and say, yeah, we have modernization in Africa too. That's not my point. I'm talking about even places where you're talking about people living in the mud huts without electricity, without running water. People who have to hand wash their clothes, people who don't have refrigerators to store their food, um, people who basically are living off the land in harmony with nature. Now, these are the type of places where they say, oh, people are living off of less than $1 a day. That's less than $1 a day. They're poor, they're impoverished, they need our help, they need, the Peace Corps, and they need this and that church, and they need Oprah, and people need to come and teach these people how they can live, and have all the great things that we say that our modern society has to offer for them to have a better life. And, unfortunately and tragically, you know, a lot of people, even there, are buying into that idea. And so people are risking their lives trying to cross the desert and, get on a raft to go across the Mediterranean to get to Europe, or get on rafts to go across the Atlantic Ocean to get somewhere in South America, and somehow, some way end up in the United States. We hear about these kind of stories, and a lot of people are ending up dead for risking their lives. And those who end up making it to the so-called promised land end up being surprised at how much they miss home, how much they miss home because of how, even with all the modern technology and resources and stuff like that, the culture, the social fabric is just not the same. So, I want to touch on that a little bit. You know, I want to talk first on this dollar a day idea. Um, when you say a person is living on less than $1 a day, here, we know, hey, the dollar is, or let's say money, cash is king. That's what we say over here. Money is like the thing that everyone feels like we need to survive. It's not just something that we want. It's not just like, something that maybe we considered optional. No, you have to pay your rent, you have to pay your taxes, you have to pay for your car, you have to pay for everything, your food, so on and so on and so on. You have to pay just so you can eat. Even just to drink water, you have to pay. The water is not even free. You can't get it out of the river or the lake or whatever, so you're paying somebody's water bill. Or if you feel like your water is free at your house, it's because your landlord is including it in your rent bill payment because your landlord has to pay for that, you know. So you're paying for that indirectly, one way or another, just to drink some water. You can't grow your own food. You have to go to the grocery store. You need to pay to eat. If you need medicine, you need to pay. You get sick, you need to pay. Or if you don't pay, someone's paying for that for you. Someone is paying. Okay, everything costs money. So if you think that you could live on less than $1 a day, you're crazy. You're not living on less than $1 a day here. It doesn't work. It doesn't happen, right? So maybe, that's why we consider a person who lives on less than $1 a day to be maybe the most destitute, most impoverished, most desperate person that you could imagine. Because you couldn't imagine it. But let's think about this. If a person can live on less than $1 a day and they're living and they're not homeless, they have a home. They're not starving, they have food to eat. They have water to drink. They're not dying of thirst. Okay? Now if you can say all that, they have clothes on their back. It might not be Versace, but they have clothes on their back. They have a roof over their head when they need a roof. Otherwise, maybe they'll find them outside. What they have, what they need, they have it. And they're living on less than $1 a day. What that means is they don't need money like that. Maybe they can get money, they can use it for some things if they want it, but it's like optional. Because the food they eat, they grow it. The clothes they wear, they make their clothes. Or if you say maybe they don't make their clothes, maybe whatever it is they produce in their village, they can trade it with somebody to obtain their clothes or whatever else they need, because people can also barter too, because everyone is producing something. You have your land, you have everything you need to um, produce. Even your homes, the building materials come from right under your feet. They're growing out of the ground in the plants that you're cultivating. The same plant that you cultivate to get your millet or your corn or whatever, you can use those same stalks to build the roof over your house. That roof might leak sometime every once in a while, and then you just have to fix it because it's easy. When you have all the materials right there, you don't have to go to Home Depot and buy something. You don't have to get a building permit and a contractor to hire a contractor to do it. No, you just go get some millet straw. You got like bundles of it stored, stacked up on top of each other. You take some, you fix your roof. It's easy. You see, not what we're used to. It's not. But let's say that it's not poverty because they have what they need to survive. Okay, these issues of wealth, these concepts of wealth and poverty is very, it's very tricky because nowadays, um, with all the modern technology that we have, all the machines that's doing different things for us, us as human beings, we don't have to do so much. which we like to think is like it's a blessing, or we like to think that it's a good fortune for us. We like to even think it's a luxury for us. But then look at this. You don't have to go wash your clothes by hand. You don't have to go farm by hand. You just go to the grocery store. You don't have to farm. You don't have to build your house. You can go hire somebody, pay somebody to do that, right? Um, you don't have to walk places. You can get an Uber. You can get a bus. You can get a train. You can, get a car, get an airplane ticket, right? Uh, Okay. And then what? You feel like, oh, now my body isn't working. So you got to buy a gym membership to go do the work that you said you were avoiding by having to not having to wash your clothes, not having to wash your dishes, not having to do this, not having to do that, and you're not using your body for anything. Then you have to go do it in the gym. And all the energy you thought you were saving, the effort you thought you were saving, you have to go burn that energy so you can have, some kind of, be in some kind of a good shape. Does that sound kind of weird? Does that sound kind of, And then, the worst part about it is the ability that we used to have to survive in a natural environment, we're losing it. Or let's say we've lost it. Let's put it like that. Because if you take a group of us and put us out in the wild somewhere, I don't think we know how to start a fire. I don't think we know how to, find edible food to eat, let alone grow it, cultivate it, harvest it, preserve it so that we can, eat off of it for the rest of the year. We don't have those capabilities. We don't have the capability to, make some kind of a mechanism by hand in order to uh, weave clothing and make fabric. We don't have, to make a loom or something like this. We don't have those capabilities. Okay, so while we feel like we're advancing, even if you could just look at the last few years, now with the advent of cell phones, smartphones, and things like this, the smarter our phones are becoming, the dumber we're becoming. We don't know directions anymore. We don't know how to find our way to one place or another because we use GPS all the time. We don't know how to remember phone numbers. Once upon a time, you had to remember phone numbers. You don't have to do that anymore. Okay, what is that doing to the brain? The brain doesn't have to work. And you wonder why, then we end up voting for people like Donald Trump and, Barack Obama, all these sweet talking people, or people who talk to whatever we feel like in our heart we believe, and then they go out and con us again. But are we advancing? We're not advancing. It's not advancement. Let's stop lying to ourselves. And then, on top of all of the those type of detriments, that's not even the worst part. Because what's worse, what's much worse, is all of the technology that we're putting so much value into, that we go out and buy the new one every time it comes out. The new one, even the old one was still working. The old clothes, they were still good. There was nothing wrong with them. But the new clothes came out. We liked it, so we went and got the new one. And now we got this old stuff sitting around. We don't use it anymore. We don't need it anymore. The 50-inch TV, we had a 50-inch TV. Then the 60-inch TV came out. We wanted the 60-inch. We had the 4K TV, and then the 8K TV came out. We needed the 8K. And then the old stuff goes in the garbage. Where is it going? It's poisoning the ground. Old batteries poisoning the water, poisoning the groundwater. Ends up in the air. We're breathing it. That's just the waste. What about the production? I live in Hammond, Indiana. Every day I'm driving by these big factories, and I don't know which kind of smell I'm going to come across next from these factories and the landfills I'm passing every time I drive into the city. And every time I have to remind myself, well, I don't like these smells. I don't like that. I know that it's toxic when I'm breathing. I don't like that what is toxic that's being put into the water, that's being put into the land, so I can't grow food in my yard. All of that toxin is because of all the products that are being produced Even like there's oil refineries by my, not like that close by my house, but I pass by them sometimes when I'm driving. And I have to remind myself that that's the same oil, that same gas I'm burning to drive my car. Yeah, I'm part of the problem too. I'm using this 4K camera to record this video. I could have used the camera on my laptop, but I know you guys want to see a high definition video when I show you a video. Yep, that's me too. Yeah, it's bad. The situation is bad. The situation is bad. We have to come to terms with that. Like where we are right now in our society is not advanced. Because if all the stuff that we're producing for the sake of our convenience is really helpful for us, then we won't be destroying the earth. We won't be enslaving people so we can have the resources to produce this stuff. And then, even in our own societies, while we're making conditions so bad in certain countries that people have to flee by the hundreds and thousands and even millions just so we can dig up the ground and pull out some minerals to put in our technology. Those of us who are the so-called beneficiaries of all that technology, we're shooting each other. We're, people more and more shooting up schools, overdosing on drugs. The opioid epidemic is ridiculous right now. Suicides, violence, hatred, arguments. When is it gonna stop before we realize, like, really, we're the ones who are missing something, and we need to find out where we can go get it. And I'll tell you where we can go get it. It's in these places where people are living on less than $1 a day, and they're living. They are living without having to destroy the planet, having to destroy each other just to survive, just to live. They're living in harmony with nature. They're living until they're 120, 130, 150 years old. Easy. Without getting cancer, without getting diabetes. And living a relaxing lifestyle where they're not in a rat race every day trying to run and see how are they going to make sure they pay their bills on time. Not having to go out and degrade themselves and doing things that's detrimental to themselves and detrimental to other people, detrimental to the environment, just so that they can pay their bills. You guys know what I'm talking about. You guys know the type of things that we have to do. The type of things that we have to reduce ourselves to doing, things that we hate. We can't stand getting up to go to work, to go slave for somebody who doesn't care about us so that we can get $1 to spend with someone who doesn't care about us, who's producing stuff that we're getting and it's killing us at the same time, like all the GMO foods that we're eating. Come on. Come on, get real. We are not winning here. We are not advanced here. This is not first world over here. Okay, let's be honest with ourselves. We need to go learn. Have some humility. Go learn from people who know what they're doing. Because when I went to Africa, that's the first time that I seen people who are happy with themselves and happy with their lives, happy with each other. That's the only time I've seen that. I've never seen that here. You might be happy for a minute. You go back to your slavery. It's no happiness here in America. It doesn't, And if someone is happy, they feel like they're happy because they got all the money and stuff like that. Someone's suffering for that. And at the same time someone's suffering for that, you up there sitting like, a parasite on the earth. Don't lie to yourself. It's time to change our perspective on wealth and poverty. This has been the Black Present. Again, my name is Kasabez Makma. I'm wishing you guys all the best. Thanks for listening. Those of you who listen all the way to the end, I know it's because you're interested in what we're talking about here. Please, again, go to the One People Facebook page, like it, follow it. I'm excited. We're gonna have a lot of new good content coming out, and the web page is gonna be back up and running very soon. So I'll be sharing that also on the site too. All right, have a good one. Peace.